Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey, it's John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where the market continues to be extremely volatile, especially that modern market. Again, we're going to check in with top 10s for both our lists there because there's just so much going on thanks to the reveals from Masters 25. As always, we'll also check in on Standard, Legacy, other notable cards such as Pauper as well. Now, before I get into the video, just a fast warning, I will give you a heads up when we're going to talk about Dominaria stuff. So if I'm going to mention it during the course of a card description, I will save it to the end and give you a warning to skip to the next card. And there's two cards at the end of the video which are moving based off what we're seeing from Dominaria leaks. So again, I will warn you, and you can kind of leave at that point if you'd like to. So just don't want to spoil anything for anybody who are trying to maybe not look at the leaks. With that being said, quickly before we get started, just a fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to support what we do here at the channel. You'll find Patreon down below. You'll find some product links on Amazon that includes Masters 25 as well as Dominaria stuff, and really anything you buy on Amazon. Once you go through that first link, no matter what it is, we'll get a small percentage for the channel. And finally, Flipside Gaming offering a promo code for our viewers still, and if you use that, we get a small percentage from there too. So always appreciate it, thank you, but also, even if you don't look at those links, I appreciate all of you watching the videos and just being part of this community, so thank you all. With that being said, let's get into it. We're going to start off with the top 5 Standard cards that have lost value this week. Standard's kind of mellow right now. I mean, the Dominaria leaks do have some people thinking about perhaps what's going to happen in the future, but you're not seeing anything substantial from those right now. Basically, your average player is going to kind of brace themselves and just wait for the new set to come out and kind of see what people do the first few weeks before they want to buy into a deck or change what they're doing in the meta. So we're going to enter probably a slower time now for Standard. Number 5, Twilight Prophet, down 48 cents to $9.19. So this comes down a little more this week, and the reason it hasn't come down faster really is the Commander scene. Commander players still picking this card up for Vampire builds. Now, when it comes to Standard, the Vampire deck didn't quite get there, unfortunately. However, I have been seeing some Grixis control decks, which have been popular recently, running like one of this card sometimes, so it's seeing a little bit of play. Not a substantial amount, but at least a little bit. Number 4, Vraska Relic Seeker, down 57 cents to $10.40. I think this is a relatively fair price for the card. Maybe $8 to $10 is probably a fair price considering the amount of play it's currently seeing, and of course things are about to change again. Now, it's not seeing as much play as it was seeing in the previous meta, but still 1-ofs, 2-ofs out of boards of some builds, like tokens decks. You'll see this show up, of course. Constrictor decks, sometimes on the board, things of that nature. Number 3, good old Hazoret the Fervent, down $1.44 to $18.07. Don't let the price point fool you. Hazoret's still seeing tons of play all over the place in Standard, even Modern, like Mardu Pyromancer. However, the Challenger deck comes out April 6th, and there is one of those Challenger decks that will have a copy of this. It's the Mono Red Aggro one. So we know a lot more copies are coming to the marketplace. The market's starting to brace for that. Number 2, Kumina Tyrant of Vraska, down $1.54 to $12.50. So much like the Vampires, the Merfolk really had a hard time. They got a little closer, but didn't quite get there in the world of Standard, and definitely the value of this card has been punished due to that fact. Now, the reason it's not lower, again, is Commander. A lot of Commander players putting together Merfolk decks with this as their Commander. I have seen this as a one-of in some modern Merfolk decks. If that catches on, I don't think it's going to really impact the price that much because it's just a little too narrow. But I would expect this card to continue to drop pretty significantly. Number 1, Chandra Torch of Defiance, down $2.28 to $24.99. Guess what? This is also in that same Challenger deck as Hazoret. So more copies are incoming. Another popular card, though, sees a lot of play all over the place in the world of Standard, not to mention a little Legacy and Modern play, too. Okay, what's going up in value this week? Number 5, Fetid Pools, up 36 cents to $6.39. Key part of so many important mana bases right now, especially coming out of Grand Prix Memphis. We saw success from a lot of Grixis builds. Grixis Energy, Grixis Control, Grixis Midrange. So no surprise, this one ticks up a little bit this week. Number 4, Paradox Engine, up 55 cents to $10.90. Again, the Commander player is making their voice heard. This isn't all about Standard. This is actually going up because of Commander play. Very, very powerful card in spiky Commander decks. Number 3, Vraska's Contempt, up 70 cents to $16.05. This had a cooling off week, and here it is going back up again. And it's just a solid card. It's an important part of the current meta. Another reason to watch this card going forward too is it is a good upgrade to a couple of the standard challenge decks coming out, namely the Martyr Vehicles as well as the Energy one. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Dominaria right now, so if you don't want to hear that, just skip to the next card. And also, now that we've seen at least a big chunk of the set, it's got people thinking about black as still being a competitive color, maybe black-red, of course, still being competitive colors. Not to mention, you're going to have new Planeswalkers to be concerned with, so of course this card I think will stabilize, maybe go up a little bit over the next few weeks. Number 2, Carnage Tyrant, up $1.12 to $20.89. Much better meta this time around compared to the last meta where this card felt a little more disappointing when the dinosaur decks didn't really pull it out. Now you see dinosaur decks, you see monster decks, different aggro decks, constrictor decks will run this, so the card is actually very successful and continues to tick up. Number 1, Rekindling Phoenix, up $2.27 to $32.39. Last week it only went up a few cents, it felt like a stabilization week, however I did warn that with the challenger decks coming closer and closer now, they come out April 6th, that if anyone wants to pick up the Mono Red Aggro one or the Martyr Vehicles one, they're probably going to want to pick up copies of this too, because this is just a no-brainer, low-hanging fruit way to upgrade those decks. It's a little expensive, obviously, but I think because of that extra demand incoming, I think this card actually continues to just go up, which is pretty insane. Also, too, a quick word about Dominaria. So again, you can skip ahead if you don't want to hear that. But we are seeing cards that are some pretty good red cards. So it does lend itself to the idea that this card is going to continue to be good. Aggro decks will continue to be good, perhaps going forward in the next meta. All right, so let's move on to Modern. 10 cards that lost value this week. We're going to look at, like I said at the opening of the show, a lot of movement thanks to what was and what wasn't in Masters 25. Not to mention we're still seeing the ripple effects of people trying to figure out the changes in the meta after the update with Jace and Bloodbraid Elf. Number 10, Cryptic Command from Lorwyn, down $1.09 to $34.50. A card that was not in Masters 25, but was in Iconic Masters, which wasn't that long ago, and that kind of flooded the market a little bit. Now, you would think this card would be going up in value, considering Jace has more attention on control decks, and the card is seeing a lot of play. But the price point here was a little bit higher than some of the reprinted versions of this card, so I think it's just stabilizing down a little bit. Number 9, Pact of Negation from Modern Masters, down $1.18 to $28.40. This one takes a dip. Of course, this is being reprinted in the upcoming Masters 25 at Rare. Another card, though, that's seeing tons of Modern play. Again, it's another control card to think about, but even beyond that, a good card for like ad nauseam decks and such. Number 8, Blood Moon. This is the 9th edition version, going down $1.23 this week to $25.37. Another card that, of course, is being reprinted at Rare in Masters 25, but also another card that sees extensive play. Number 7, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, down $1.40 to $17.47. Third verse, same as the first. Another card that we're going to see in Masters 25 at Rare. And it ticks down this week, although this is one to watch. I think it continues to go down for a little while, especially as packs get cracked. But I do feel like with Rashad Import also in that set, what you might see is a lot of people gravitating towards decks like Death and Taxes, which maybe were too expensive to buy into when the port was more expensive. Now they want to buy into that deck, and Thalias could start to get hot again, so keep an eye on this one. Number 6, Disrupting Shoal, down $2.35 to $22.07. When the announcement came that Jace was coming to the format, there was a lot of speculation over which cards were going to be good with or against Jace, which ones wouldn't be, and this was one that came up as perhaps one that would be good for both situations. Unfortunately, this card has had moments like this before where people think, this is it. Like, this is its time now to become like the force of will of Modern. But unfortunately, it just never feels consistent enough because of the limitations of the card, and it always kind of falls back down. It's not going to completely bottom out due to the fact that it does see a little bit of play, and people are trying to make it work, and maybe somebody will stumble upon the answer going forward. We'll have to see. But also, too, scarcity will keep it at a decent level because the card hasn't been reprinted yet. So, something to think about, but ultimately I do think this ticks down more. 5, Chalice of the Void for Modern Masters, now $2.55 to $66.70. This is being reprinted in Masters 25, but as a mythic and not a rare. So this will go down in price a little more. Again, as packs get cracked, you'll see that. But I do think it will not go super low before it stabilizes. I mean, maybe if you're lucky, this gets closer to the $50, $55 mark perhaps at some point. But then expect it to start climbing back up again, just due to the fact that the Masters 25 set is a limited set. The card's a mythic. There's going to be more copies, but not maybe necessarily enough ultimately. So we've seen this with Cavern of Souls, Snapcaster Mage, whole bunch of examples out there. Number 4, Karn Liberated. 2 versions here. New Phyrexia down 271 to 92.50 with Modern Masters 2015 down 310 to $89. So a couple things with Karn. First off, he had huge weeks over the last couple weeks. I mean, the card's been hot just recently anyway because the Tron decks are incredibly popular. Sometimes he's play and Legacy Eldrazi post as well, but it's really Tron that's driven this price point. Now, when the card was not reprinted in Masters 25, it just had a huge spike. We saw that last week. So this snapback is not unexpected. When you see huge spikes like that, this will typically happen. So that's part of what's going on here. The other part has to do, again, with a Dominaria leak. So if you'd like to move on to the next card, I will see you there. Okay, there's a card in the Dominaria leaks, Dampening Sphere. It's a 2 casting cost artifact that basically just completely hoses Tron. So people have started to panic over the last 24, 48 hours, and this price point has actually come down at least a little bit in that time period. I don't know if it's necessarily time to throw out your Tron deck or anything like that, but people are a little worried, and it may soften this card over the next few weeks. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But we're going to be talking about that card later in the weekend in one of our videos if you want more information on it, but I just kind of want to move on now. However, I do think that card could impact not only Tron decks, but Storm decks, maybe some others too, to watch out for. Number 3, Azusa Lost But Seeking. Down 477 to 34.55, another Masters 25 reprint at Rare. Also getting the Judge promo art, which looks awesome. This card sees modern play. I mean, not huge percentages, but Amulet Titan will play this. You'll see this in some of the Collected Company decks and such. So it's out there, maybe not in high quantities like other cards. Because of that, it's dipping pretty aggressively now. Number 2, Liliana of the Veil. Down 619 to 119.40. This is the Innistrad version. This card, much like Karn, had a huge week over the last couple weeks, actually, now, due to the fact that, first off, we saw it wasn't being reprinted, which wasn't too surprising, I don't think, since we saw it in Masters 2017, although they did reprint some things from that set. And secondly, the changes to the format. This is a card, again, that's actually worked well with Jace in certain builds. I've seen some Sultai control builds with the 2 of these in it. I have seen this used against Jace. Jund decks, of course, with Bloodbraid Elf, the old Jund band getting back together. She's a big part of it. She's the lead singer, of course. So 619 is a big drop on one hand, but I do think this is temporary. I think this card quickly stabilizes after maybe another week where it goes down or so. Number 1, Snapcaster Mage from Modern Masters 2017, down 688 to 72.32. And another card that had a huge few weeks now, had big spikes. And here's just the other side of that spike, basically. So again, this will stabilize sooner than later. It will go down a little more, I think. But again, it's just very popular right now in these control decks that are being powered by Jace. All right, what's gained value this week? As you can imagine, a lot of the cards that were not reprinted that a lot of people hoped would be. Number 10, Noble Hierarch. Modern Masters 2015 version of 436 to 64.84. I didn't really think we'd see this in Masters 25 because it was the World Magic Cup qualifying promo card, which unfortunately not enough copies of those go out to make too much of a difference in the marketplace. And because of that, I mean, who knows when we're going to see a true reprint of this, and it really needs one. Number 9, Tarmogoyf. 2 versions this week. Modern Masters 2015 up $390 to $82.28, with Modern Masters 2017 up $446 to $80. I've been saying this over the last few weeks. It's time for Tarmogoyf to make a comeback. Ever since the Pro Tour, this did great in the top 8, Trevor Shadow, Abzan, and then of course the changes happen. So you again see some decks actually playing Sultai with this, Jace, Liliana, of course, part of the Jund band. This is the drummer. So you could imagine this card is still going to continue to creep up, even though it has had some nice gains over the last couple weeks. Steam Vance from Guild Pack is number 8, up 516 to 25.98. This color combination, very hot right now in the world of Modern. As a matter of fact, Scalding Tarn would have been number 11. That still went up over $3 this week. On a normal week, that probably would have made our top 5, but not this week. So keep that in mind too. But really, the color combination, not just for Jeskai Control, which has been very popular, obviously, recently, and maybe the driving factor, but also Dredge decks, Grixis Shadow. You'll find this in a number of different places right now. Number 7, Mox Opal. This is the Scars of Meriden version of 641 to 82.39. Just a card so many people were banking on seeing in Masters 25, I think. Very popular in Lantern Control, which of course won the Pro Tour. That never hurts either. and also the very popular Affinity deck. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens with this one. Again, it just really needs a reprint. If it doesn't get one, I can't imagine that it's going to go down very much, although we might see some snapback. Number 6, Celestial Colonnade, up $7.68 to $72. Another card that I think so many people are just banking on a reprint. I think the speculation was we were going to see all the World-Wide Creature lands, or at least this one in Masters 25. That simply did not happen, and this card just spikes again. It's been incredibly hot. Control decks were popular before the Jace situation happened, so, I mean, they got even more popular recently, and this card has gone along right with it, and it's stabilized in the last 24 hours or so. Is that a sign of stabilization to come? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I do think this could go up higher, though. Maybe it will have a little bit of a short-term fallback. Number 5, Through the Breach, up $7.92 to $66.99. Kind of the same story here. A lot of people just thought this has to be here, right? They need to reprint this card. Well, they didn't. It's still very popular in modern decks and legacy decks, and will continue to go up until it sees a reprint. Number 4, Cavern of Souls, Everson Restored, up $5.95 to $71.59. Modern Masters 2017, up $8.18 to $73. Again, I wasn't necessarily anticipating a reprint Masters 25. However, we could have used one. I mean, I was just talking about this phenomenon a few minutes ago. But yes, I mean, this being reprinted as a Mythic in 2017 didn't really help that much, especially considering the Humans deck just exploded on the scene this winter, and a lot of people still trying to build that deck. So even if it was reprinted at Rare, this probably would have still had a pretty nice spike attached to it, so kind of is what it is, I guess. Also very popular in many, many other decks, too. Dark Confidants, number 3. The bass player of the Jun Band is here. There's Bob looking at us. Modern Masters 2015, up $6.52 to $72.95. Modern Masters, up $12.47 to $76.50. Ravnica City of Guilds, up $12.85 to $83.76. And you know what else is popular besides that Bloodbraid-driven Jun deck? Also, good old Humans. This fits into both of those extremely hot decks right now. Number 2, Gaddock Teague. Okay, this is up $15.26 to $39.99. This one's a little different from the other cards we've seen on our list today. This one hasn't quite proven itself. It is tech against Jace, obviously, but there's not a ton of decks running it. Every once in a while, I will see it come out of the sideboard of a Humans deck or a Hexproof Selesnya deck. But that's not really all builds of the deck. We'll have to kind of see if it turns out that the meta finds it successful or not, or if the meta can kind of adapt around this card. If it does, then maybe it continues to go up. But I do feel like this is a combination of speculation that maybe it will be good and people trying it out and trying different brews, and maybe at least a small buyout. I do think maybe the speculation led to a buyout. That's what we're seeing this week, and perhaps we'll see a big crackback next week. So we'll see what happens. Again, unless this starts to show up in more decks and looks really good against Jace, I don't think it will maintain this price point. One quick word about Dominaria, spoilers too, so I'll let you move on to the next card if you don't want to hear that. But this card is also legendary, which could have some people thinking, 2 casting cost legendary, even though it is 2 different colors, might work well with some of the things we're going to see in that set. We're going to talk more about that towards the end of the video, though. Gemstone Caverns, up $21.94 to $32.75. Okay, ever since the changes to the format, every week we feel like there's another card that people find that is either good with or against Jace. This actually falls into both categories. And this appears to be maybe the real deal. I do see a lot more decks running this over the past couple weeks, and it does seem to be good for them. It lets you cheat your Jaces out just a little bit faster, maybe faster than your opponent, or put pressure on Jace a little bit faster, which is equally important sometimes. So this is one to watch. I mean, this is a big spike. I would expect it to come down a little bit next week, but at the same time, I do think this card continues to grow. All right, let's move on to the World of Legacy, which is much, much more stable this week. First card that lost value, number 5, Petra Sphinx, down $15.37 to $19.48. This was the target of one of those awkward buyouts a few weeks back where they were picking up cards that were not on the reserve list. This is already coming down. I would assume they probably didn't have a whole lot of luck selling them at the inflated price point. Number 4, Candelabra of Tano, stabilizes down just slightly this week, $24.48 to $525.47. Number 3, Plateau from Unlimited, down $32.37 to $154.49. You know it's a slower week when the dual lands start showing up on the list. That's a good thing. Number 2, Drop of Honey, still trying to find its price point, I think. Down $53.49 to $393. A little bit lower this week, goes under $400. Number 1, Ellie from Cairo, down $60 to $200, and this card spiked about a week ago, so not too odd that we're seeing it come back down this week. Alright, let's move on to the cards that have gained value this week. Number 5, Tropical Island from Unlimited, up $26.97 to $397.94. Hazan Tamar, up $29.39 to $129.99. This card's been pretty hot, and this one truly is a reserve list Legends card, so I would expect it to maintain most of its value. It might come back a little bit. Maybe this is a semi-buyout or something like that. But this is a popular card. It's going to be harder and harder to find going forward. It's actually not bad in Commander either. Number 3, King Solomon, up $44.42 this week to $205.51. This is a pretty good card in 93-94 format to deal with those very powerful Ifrits and Djinns that you could find there. Also, too, Reserve List, Arabian Nights, a lot of collectors looking for this card, too. I actually feel like the price point is not bad for the card, believe it or not. Number 2, Diamond Valley, up $54.57 this week to $384.62. This just can't find its price point. It's up, it's down, it's up, it's down. Number 1, City of Brass from Arabian Nights, up $65.51 to $287.50. Of course, this is not on the reserve list. It's been reprinted many times, but 93-94 players are going for this version as well as collectors. All right, let's look at a few notable cards. We're going to start off in the world of Pauper, and a few cards I picked out here. First, Thorn of the Black Rose, up 29 cents to 70 cents. Now, this card is not going up a whole lot, but percentage-wise, it's actually pretty decent. And you'll find this in like the mono black control decks in the format. Deathblade Elite, up $1.28 to $2. This has been on our list before, and this is a key card in those mono-white heroic decks. Another mono-white heroic card, Holy Light, up $2.55 this week to $3.49. Nice little jump for this card from the dark. And our last card for Pauper, Oubliette, up $3.86 to $49. Still continues to be hot. Another card a lot of people were hoping to see in Masters 25, just didn't happen. Sees play, of course, again in those mono black control builds. Alright, this next one is actually a commander card, Deep Channel Mentor. It's up $2.32 this week to $3.47. Really nice percentage spike here. Again, goes to show you just how popular right now those Merfolk decks are, as people are digging into Magic's past to find good Merfolk. Okay, a few other legacy cards I wanted to bring up. Nicol Bolas, the original Legends version, up $17.01 this week to $137.50. Even though this is being reprinted in Masters 25, the card's been very hot. Ring of Maruf, up $23.90 to $108.25. This card has been undervalued for a really long time. I actually think it's still undervalued, considering it is a very unique Arabian Nights reserve list card. However, it started going up about a week ago, and it's still going up, so maybe it's a buyout, but I do think this actually might be true growth as people are catching on to this one. Shahrazad. This is not a legacy legal card, but I want to mention it anyway. Up $200 to $394.99. Now, this looks like a buyout. This card has been the target of a buyout before, and then it's come back down, so this happens every once in a while with the card. It maintains a rather low price point due to the fact there's not a lot of places you can play it. So that makes it kind of ripe for the picking for these kind of buyouts. And I do think it is undervalued regardless, though, typically. Maybe not at this price point, but before the buyout, I would have said it was. Just simply because it's old, it's rare, reserve list, hard to find in good condition. And a lot of collectors would be interested in it. Okay, we got 2 more cards to go. And they are tied into what we saw in those Dominaria spoilers. So, if you're avoiding Dominaria spoilers, I will see you next time. Thanks for joining us. If not, let's move on to the last 2 cards. The first one is Isamaru, Hound of Khanda, up 53 cents to $4.26. Kind of a nice percentage spike here, and if you're asking yourself, why is this? Well, in Dominaria, we saw that Legendary is a theme, and a lot of Commander players getting excited about that set, as well they should be, because there's a lot of interesting tools for Commander there. Now, something that is new to the set is the idea of legendary sorceries. Now, how can a sorcery be legendary? Bottom line is, to cast it, you have to have a legendary creature or planeswalker in play. And these are powerful spells that, of course, you have to jump through a little bit of a hoop to actually get to use it. Now, with that being said, 1 casting cost legendary creatures might be something of interest to some people. This is definitely one to watch. And of course, you probably guessed this one, Captain Sisay starting to go up again, as you'd imagine, because whenever there's a lot of buzz around Legends and Legendary, this card definitely gets back in the spotlight. From the Vault Legends version, up $4.44 this week to $34.42, with Invasion going up $6.50 to $25.08. I think this is the beginning of another spike for her, so we'll have to kind of see where things end up, but again, this card will be extremely popular going forward, I have no doubt. All right, with that being said, that's the Market Watch for this week. I am working on getting more of the Dominaria preview videos out. The two that are already out, we have the white one and the blue one, and after this video comes out, I'm going right into the black one. My hope is to get all of these out. I will definitely get them out before the weekend's over, because there's going to be more cards coming Monday, but I'm going to try to get as many of them out today as I can. So stay tuned. Until next time, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.